We are celebrating Entrepreneurs Week, and we have a number of series. And today, and this is a special talk, I would say. My friend who will be sharing his experiences, and a webinar on prototype validation, converting prototype into a startup. And this is the important function or important webinar that will create a sense of interest in how the students can validate, how the students can come up with the different ideas. And the new education policy or national education policy have brought many changes. For example, I have given two coding classes from 6th grade onwards. And here, the total idea is this. So we are moving from the stereotype teaching to the employment oriented teaching or the job oriented teaching. So from standard onwards, grade onwards, students will be taught coding. Okay, they will be developing the codes. So the reason behind this is the existing system doesn't make the students think on their own, more of book oriented, more of teacher oriented. So whatever they study from the book, they write it, they give up, and finally they get the marks. There is no thought process taking place. So the new education policy gives this opportunity from school onwards, from 6th standard onwards. And another one is 10 days of bagless classes. This doesn't mean that the students no need to carry bags to the class, but this is the industrial exposure. They mean the students who are studying from the school to colleges, higher educational institution, they should get industrial exposure. At least 10 days of industrial exposure will bridge the gap between the land and lab. So this is the idea. And I think Karnataka government has implemented this national education policy, and all other states will be following to implement this education in near future. So, and at VCSM, what we do is we conduct Math Expo, Department of Mathematics every year, and Department of Physics celebrates Science Day, National Science Day, and Scientia, the Department of Computer Science, and ESL, Department of Commerce. All these departments conduct and exhibit the talents, exhibit models, and there are good number. Last year, all these three departments, maths department, physics department, computer science department, have come up with very good models. And the models, for example, physics department, how to recycle the waste, then voice communication, then automatic speed controlling of a two-wheeler, then water level indicator. All these are some examples that I remember out of my experience, which I have visited in the last year. And mathematics department, they have given the application in a different forms, different models, like EB tower they have built, arithmetic table, which will help the students to learn arithmetic fast, and Fibonacci series and the flower and fruits. If you count, that will give you the Fibonacci series number. So these are some of the fine example. And one more example, flight using the differential calculation, differential equation. So computer science have come up with the different ideas, innovation, face mask detection. So when you enter the industry, if you don't wear the mask, then automatically alarm will be raised. Okay, they will get the alarm indication. Then for the physically challenged people, they have built up an app where using the hand gesture, they can operate the apps. So this is a fine model they have come up. I am mentioning only few. And for blind stick, so this is another example, another prototype where the blind people, they can have a stick, and with its sensor, with 5 meter, supposing if any obstacle is there, it will start giving alarm. So all these program or protocols or products are very user friendly, very societal oriented. Okay, these the students are really using it. And last time when I visited these expos, I was really happy that more of the first year students were there and now you are in second year, and the second year students now who are in third year. So second and third year will give definitely very great insights to your juniors, so that we learn something and that should be converted. And all these three, one comment that the chief guest mentioned was this: you convert the prototype into a product, you convert the prototype into an startups. So that was the invariably everybody told, right? And that is why we have gathered here virtually for discussing something about how to convert the prototype into startup, how to convert the prototype into a product. And we have a right person here, my friend, Dr. Saji Varghese. And if I remember, sir, the smile is his trademark. If you look at the photo, I used to see him always with this trademark of smiling, and he is always surrounded by the students. He is an in charge for innovation, incubation center, where the students go and discuss lots of ideas, and he is the real role model in Christ University, Bangalore. And now we are so lucky to have him in our midst to discuss what he has done, what he has, how he has converted prototype into a product. And what you're seeing is the other side is the coconut leaf, turning discarded coconut leaves into straws. Now, if you type Dr. Saji Varghese, you will get this product, or you type the sunbeam, right? Straws you will get, even it is available. The quickest patent right he has got in the year 2018, I suppose. So I am so happy, and I cordially invite Dr. Varghese sir, and I ensure that all the students will get greater insights from his speech. He is a living example of patent right, how to get patent right, how to convert the prototype into a product and startup. So without wasting your time, I hand over this session to Dr. Saji Varghese.
So I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
So first of all, a very big thank you, Dr. Vincent sir, for giving me this opportunity to interact with your students, and thank you to your chairman and MD for giving this opportunity, because I always look forward to opportunities to interact with students, and I would like to start my talk by sharing my screen. Yeah, I'll because I would like to keep it short.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to tell you that before I begin with what our prototypes were converted into commercial products, I would like to give you a story of this girl, Jane Chen. Now, Jane Chen was a student at Stanford University, obviously in the US, and the professor gave them a problem. The problem was that many premature born babies in remote villages in India, they die simply because the hospitals do not have incubators. The incubators are usually costing a few lakhs, and many of our rural hospitals, they don't have incubators. And then the professor gave them a problem and said, can you come up with a low cost incubator which can be used in the rural areas? And why this story is very inspiring to me is that I always think about this girl, how her entire mindset must have worked. So when she came about with this problem, what happened was that she empathized with the mothers who lose their babies. So no one feels the pain of losing a baby more than the mother. But when this girl also could feel that pain, and she had the courage to come all the way from the US to India. In fact, she landed in Bangalore, and then she took a road trip to many villages of Karnataka, and she did a survey of all the mothers who had lost their babies because of the lack of incubators in the hospitals. And then what happened eventually was she and her team, they started working on it. And to cut the long story short is that she came up with this low-cost baby incubator. This is like a sleeping bag, and at the back of this bag there is a wax-like substance, and which can be melted with just hot boiling water. If you know, when you want to build a prototype, you have to contextualize it, where it actually is going to be utilized. And you know that many of our villages in India, they do not have electricity, or if at all there is electricity, there is a frequent power failure. And so she devised an incubator which does not require electricity, which can be run with just boiling water, and every village can manage hot boiling water. So there is a wax like substance at the back of this bag, and all you require is a mug of hot water, and the wax keeps melting, and it will keep melting for 8 hours. And as it keeps melting for 8 hours, it maintains a constant temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, which is needed by the baby. And this product is called Embrace. And now this girl, Jane Chen, is now the CEO of this company called Embrace. It is converted into a prototype, and now it is a commercial product. But the story which I finished in 1 minute actually took more than a year to finalize the product. The product actually had to come up with several improvements, several iterations, and after several iterations only this product was perfected. And this is one of the mothers in Karnataka, in one of the villages in Karnataka, where this lady's second child was saved because of this incubator. The first child died because there was no incubator in the hospital. And this got me thinking, we have such serious problems in our own country. And unfortunately, our colleges and our universities, we don't talk about these problems. So we have a very structured syllabus, we have examinations, and we are all orienting our students to take up placements, and that is the entire focus, and that is our entire objective. And this girl comes all the way from United States and talks and visits all these villages, analyzes the problem very closely, and then tries to come up with various solutions. And the beauty of this is that then Barack Obama came to know about this product, and he also funded it. And now Jane Chen's this particular gadget, which is a low-cost incubator, and this is almost a 6-year-old story. She has saved the lives of more than 5 lakh babies. 500,000 babies' lives were saved by this particular bag in several countries in India and several countries in Asia and Africa. And she's now this product is commercialized. It is a patented product also. So what I was trying to tell you is that this story inspired me greatly, because one, it is that our universities also should start talking about real problems that we find all around us, and those problems we should see them as opportunities. And as Ravina was telling earlier during the introduction, that each day see it as an opportunity and then try to make the maximum impact. And once you have that sort of a mindset, it helps. And the second reason why this story inspired me was, as you know, I'm not from the physics department. Actually, I'm from the English department. And it doesn't actually matter what your areas of specialization are. And no matter what your areas of specialization are, if you have a strong intention, you can actually work towards it. You can get the right teams, and you can actually make a difference. And the point was that this girl, Jane Chen, actually is neither a science student nor she is an engineer, and she doesn't have a science background. She's only a student of economics and psychology. And yet why she could make such a great product and save the lives of thousands of children is because she had a strong intention. So what I think there are more than around 290 students listening to me at this moment. So this was a great inspiration, because she did not have a science background, and yet she could come up with a great innovation. So all boys and girls listening to me, whether you are from computer science or from physics or even from humanities, it doesn't matter, because this is a time when innovation should not be individualistic. It has to be collaborative. She also teamed up with a few engineers, and she came up with the product. So the first lesson I would like to tell you is that if you want to come up with innovation, and if you want to build enterprises out of that innovation, first thing is that you should have the intention. You should empathize. Unless you really feel strongly for your society, if you see a problem with the less privileged communities, and if you feel that if you don't feel for them, then you won't come up with an innovation. So empathy is very important. Second is you should have strong intention that I should make a difference. And then third is that even your empathy won't help, even your intention won't help, unless you are ready to take action. Initiative to take action is very, very important. Otherwise, I believe now when Jane Chen was in the class, there were other students also, maybe 15, 20 other students in the class, all heard the problem, and maybe sitting in their own benches, they might have thought, okay, maybe I can do this or I can do that. But none of those ideas will actually matter at all. Like Vincent sir was mentioning, like how do you translate it from land to lab, from lab to land? That is more important. So she had the courage to take this entire journey. So let this be an inspiration to all of us, that if you really want to make an impact, you should have a strong intention, and then you should be ready to take risks, because that initiative to take action would actually mean taking risks. And particularly in the journey of innovation and entrepreneurship, what will visit you first is a string of failures. You will fail 100 times before you get your final product. So failures is something which we in general are not prepared for. That is why great innovations are not happening. That is why most of our students take that route to just find placement and get a job in some company which US has created, or maybe someone in Japan has created. So this was the first first point which I would like to make, that you also have entrepreneurship cells, and unless you students show the interest and then have the courage, I will demonstrate it from what happened at Christ University, because there's no point telling an inspiring story unless it actually motivates us also to take some steps. So there are, it would be probably a very long talk, but that's why I'm just bringing in one of the projects that we are doing at Christ University, that is about the straws and how the journey is actually moving ahead. So as you all know that we know that the world is grappling with the problem of single-use plastic straws. A lot of marine life is in danger. A lot of animals in the ocean, they suffer. And I think some of you must have seen the video. It's a very painful video of a sea turtle. It's a big sea turtle. And after it was caught, they found out that its nostril had something stuck in it. So they thought it must be some small stone or something. But when they pulled it, they found out that it was an 8-inch plastic straw gone entirely into the nostril of this turtle. And it's a very painful video, almost 2 to 3 minutes. The sea rescuer is trying to take it out. It was bleeding. And when we saw all this, we also tried to see whether we could make a difference. And then if you want to come up with an innovation, as I told you, you can have a strong intention. You need to take action. But another qualities that you require is that you should have very powerful observation. You should keep looking around, all around. And though it might look very simple, you might tell yourself, sir, we are always observing everywhere, otherwise we will no we won't be able to walk through our premises. But my point is that when we say observe, you should observe with intent. Is this the only way to do it? Is this something which I can do something else with it? So a lot of observation, proactive observation is what is going to make a difference. And what we have found in our journey is that innovations necessarily do not have to be very complex. It can be very, very simple, and yet it can make a very big impact. And that's exactly what happened in the case of our intention to see whether we could do something about the plastic straws. That during one of my walks in the campus of Christ University, I could see these leaves, fallen coconut leaves, and then an idea struck: can we try to convert it into straws? It was like a on-the-spot moment idea that struck me. But what I did is I took several of these dry leaves. I took it to my room, and you all know that a dry coconut leaf will be very fragile, very brittle. The moment you crush it, it will crumble into pieces. But what I found out was, when you soak it in water or when you sprinkle water, and in 15 to 20 minutes, it becomes very flexible. Then you cannot even crush it. It becomes very flexible. And then I started my experiments. And one morning I cut a few leaf strips, and I put it in an idli steaming utensil, and I started steaming it. And when I was steaming it, I saw that the leaf now had a nice shine on its surface. Then I became very interested, and then I tried to research more. I found out that these naturally fallen leaves, the more it dries and matures, it has more wax content in its leaf. And that wax itself makes it very shiny. And when I read more, I found out that it has antifungal properties. Then it struck me that in McD and other KFC and other these beverage chains, you get this what is called the paper straws. Now paper straws, paper will absorb water, so they dip it in artificial wax like paraffin wax or beeswax or carnauba wax. They have to dip into that, and even in spite of that, it gets soggy in 15 to 20 minutes. And then it struck me that here we have a natural product, and it's a waste product, agri waste, and it is just burnt. In most of the farms, it is only burnt. And then it has a natural property of having its own wax. And then I became very confident that we can convert it into a straw. We made few more experiments, and we first made a single layered straw. And just want to tell you that though it might look like a simple hollow tube, it took us almost another 3,000 hours to build what is called a multi-layered straw. What you see on the screen is a multi-layered drinking straw made from naturally dried coconut leaves, and it is made in an absolutely chemical-free atmosphere. And the beauty of it, the possibility of it, you can judge from the fact that you can make 200 up to 200 straws from just one frond. One compound leaf will have multiple leaflets. So those leaflets, if they are of good quality, if they are not sufficient, if they're not badly diseased and all, you can make 200 straws. And that's where I understood the social potential of such a product. On one side, the world was wanting an alternative to plastic straws. On the other hand, we realized that we could make straws from coconut leaves, that too from the fallen coconut leaves. And third aspect was we can make so many leaves. And then we decided that we can make it into a huge social enterprise. And yes, this was the first single layered straws we were making. And again, why we converted from single layered straw to multi-layered straw. All of you students who are in the entrepreneurship cell, please understand that in innovation, there is something called design thinking. You cannot sit in labs and in AC rooms and discuss among yourselves to build great products. You have to just engage that product with your customer. Don't try to bring the ultimate finish to the product by working for 2 years and then bring it to the customer. What you should do is, after you have rolled out the first product, take it to the customer and let the customer give the feedback. That will help you to improve. And if you do that, that customer is the best judge and he will give you the feedback. So when we made the first, the single lead straw, it was liked by people. They were drinking it, but we found out that the glue, there is a food grade glue that we apply on the margin. It would be showing up on the straw, it would be showing inside the straw, and so on and so forth. And then it would open up in like 1 hour. And then we worked for another 3,000 hours, and that is how we developed what is called the multi-layered straw. Now again, when I was first making the straw and I said, I want to apply for the patent and all, some people said, it's only a natural leaf which you have rolled into a straw, you won't get a patent for it. But what this is something very important which I want to tell all the boys and girls. No matter how small your idea is, don't hesitate to file for its intellectual property. It is very important. We should respect our product, we should value our product, and this IP is such a huge thing that we in India, we don't value such things. But it is high time we start valuing it, because the moment, and we applied for a patent because it's unique design. So there is a product, there is a unique design to the product, and there is a entire process with which it is made, and then there is specific technology needed to make this product. So all of this can be patented. And as Vincent sir actually rightly mentioned, this patent, even the single lead straw was granted patent, and it was the fastest patent granted in India in 2018. And now this multi-layered straw, we have applied for another patent for this multi-layered straw, and moreover it is published in the Patent Journal of India. Moreover, we have applied for what is called a PCT, that is Patent Cooperation Treaty. So this design and the product is protected in 153 countries for the next 31 months. And then we'll be applying it in individual countries wherever we feel it has a commercial potential. And what the good news I want to tell you is that we got the International Patent Search report also for this product. And even we have 30 claims, 30 novelties that we have built in this product. And when we applied under PCT, we got the International Patent Search report. Every single 30 inventive elements that is novel across the globe. So here we have a huge opportunity of intellectual property. Let's say you have 100 acres of land. That is a property, right? You value it. Will you allow somebody to just encroach it? You will not allow. This is also an intellectual property, and that is how the government protects it. And you should not hesitate, no matter how small your idea looks. Please approach your professors and say that you need support to file the patents for it. Don't hesitate to file a patent. And now we understand the value of it. Now we are getting inquiries from Philippines, from East Africa, from Sri Lanka, because they know it's a patented product. And they're saying that, can we get a license for this product? And that is how we can commercialize it. And the more we can commercialize, we can use it for the advantage of our communities. That is a very big lesson, another important lesson which I wanted to share with you, that don't hesitate to file an intellectual property. Right? I told you Jane Chen developed that incubator, low-cost incubator. The wax which they have developed is patented. So though it is having a social impact, there is no harm in trying to make it a sustainable for-profit company, right? Don't be hesitant to make a for-profit company, as long as you are not exploiting the communities. Don't exploit the communities, but don't hesitate to make a for-profit company, because if you have a for-profit company, you can be sustainable. And that will help you a lot. So you have to be sustainable, you have to be profitable without exploiting the communities. So these are now our 7-8 variants that we have developed for the straws. The beauty of our product is that we can make straws right from 4 mm up to 12 jumbo straws. And in the biodegradable segment, there is no bubble tea straw. That is, they need a 12 bubble tea straw. Even now, when you check on Amazon, you will find our Sunbird straws. It is called SUNBIRD, Sunbird straws. We get all our orders for these jumbo straws, 12 straws, because they are not available. In the biodegradable, we don't get jumbo straws. And at the same time, now we have developed from Canada, we got a request. There was a person who is actually bedridden, so they were asking, can you make straw with spoons? So we have developed a straw which has a natural end as a spoon. For example, you are drinking a slushy drink, or let's say there are dry fruits in your drink. You can sip the drink, and then you can use a spoon to eat the dry fruits or the hard part, the solid part in it. So a straw with spoon is also a variant. And again, in the biodegradable segment, we are the only straws which can be used for Tetra Paks, because the end of it can be given an angular cut, and it can pierce the Tetra Pak seal. So these are some of our USPs that we are building. So though there are other biodegradable products in the market, we are creating our own USP, unique selling propositions, because of which it is getting very attractive. And during the last 1 year, we have got inquiries from 25 countries. So that is the beauty of creating a product which is of value, and then you know how to protect it. Right. And we have already sent samples to 10 countries. And as of now, 5-star hotels like Novotel, Ibis Group, Grand Mercure, they're all taking the straws from us now. And yeah, but this is where the story becomes more interesting, where just a product getting innovated by one person doesn't really help. You need a big team to collaborate. And what you see on the screen is that our own Christites are now fully on board. For example, Charan is a management graduate. Sandeep is a master's in economics. Now he is enrolled for his PhD program. Jobin, whom you see on the screen, was actually a design engineer with HCL. So he resigned and he has joined us full time. And Chirag, whom you see on the screen, actually he's a postgraduate in aeronautical and space engineering. So last year he finished it and came during the COVID only. He came back from UK. But can you imagine a science graduate? He has electronics, maths, and physics. And then he went on to do his post-graduation in aeronautical and space engineering. But he also decided to join us full time without going for any job placement. This is a huge, courage and self-belief that you can actually making a big impact. And then Fauzal is again a student from Jain, and Lisa is a student from economics. They have all joined us to take this company ahead. Now we are a registered startup, registered with the Ministry of Commerce. So do you see how the journey starts? A simple idea that you can convert a leaf into a straw. From there, you do a lot of experiments, you do a lot of validation, then you go for an IP, and then you form your company, and you have a team. That team only will help you to take you forward. So never think you can take this journey alone. You need a very good team. Now, this is Jobin Jose, and he is the one who created the world's first cleaning machine for coconut leaves. So there was nowhere in the world a machine exists to clean coconut leaves. Now, this is earlier we used to clean it manually. 3 women would be standing in front of trays, and this leaves had to be cleaned manually. But now we created this jet wash cleaning machine with an internal filtration system as well. So that is what happened was, when we were manually cleaning whatever water was used, now there is a 60% saving of water also. And now one lady can clean 3,500 leaves in a space of 3 hours. So we have now increased, optimized our output also, efficiency also. So he created not just this machine. Chirag and Jobin together, they have developed 7 machines. There's a width cutting machine, there's a scraping machine, there is a spiral rolling machine, there's a long rolling machine, and now we are going for a slighter more automation of the spiral rolling machine and long rolling machine, for the simple reason that now our throughput time is 45 to 50 seconds per straw. So to make one straw, let's say there is a entire team of 13 women, our throughput time is 45 seconds. But now when our straws reached Qatar, and it recently reached Germany and Australia and Spain, they want containers. They want straws in lakhs. So it becomes important that we have to upgrade our technology. This is again another important lesson to all of you who are listening to us, that on one side, we want to be a social enterprise. At the same time, we should be very pragmatic. Now, if these women cannot meet the growing demand, there is no point. It will not become a sustainable company. So we have to balance between automation and employment. And India is a country where we have to balance both. So now we are coming up with an automated machine for our long rolling, where the throughput time will be reduced to just 4 seconds. So in 4 seconds, a straw will be rolled out. Then our women can actually be able to meet the growing demand. So this is also another important aspect which I thought I should convey to you. And these are some of the machines that are made, and they are working. And Yeah, this is our typical business model. This is one of our units in Madurai. So we have two units. One is in Madurai, one is in Thoothukudi, and the third unit is in Kasaragod in Kerala. And very recently now, NABARD has now given us a grant of 60 lakhs. And in September, we have the inauguration. We are going to start 5 centers in Mysore, employing 200 women. And that is a fund totally funded by NABARD, and that is how the government also. So projects like this will get a lot of support in the form of grants. So not that you have to chase an investor for a project like this. And even HDFC gave us a grant of 25 lakhs to start a project in Nagarkoil. So the construction is already going on. So a lot of CSR funds are available for such projects. A lot of government funds are there for such projects. And this is what, and then of course we had got a lot of media attention. So once you convert a product into a very useful product, you get a lot of media attention. So you don't have to go pay much money, spend a lot of amount for marketing, because a lot of marketing you get through media itself. Because all our orders actually from 25 countries came through media. We have only last month we started aggressive marketing to 5-star hotels in India. Otherwise we were not doing it. Another important aspect which I want to talk about after the innovation and after you have built a business model is that don't hesitate to brand your product. Branding is also very, very important. Now, for example, if you know that the name Jockey, right? It is the biggest brand in innerwears, right? But I think most of you know that the Jockey, the entire cloth is made in Coimbatore, and it is sent. So we have the expertise to make the best quality product, but we don't value the brand that we can create out of it. And once those who brand it will make more money, right? And why shouldn't we do it for our own communities, right? We allow somebody. So we only think of a product commercialization. So I'm making my straw, so I should make 5 paisa on the straw and I should sell it wherever, and then people will rebrand and then sell it for a much higher price. You will be surprised to know that our initially, before we entered branding, a customer, a distributor from US, who bought our straw for just 2 rupees 75 paise per straw, was selling it at 14 rupees per straw in the US, right? So why? Because we don't value branding. That's when I realized that the value of branding. So this Sunbird straws is a branded product. This is a government registered trademark. And when you build a brand, you are actually building value and you build a story around it. Because we had one inquiry from a very big company in the US and one from South Africa who said, you just send the straws, we will brand and sell it. But we are very strongly, I know that that would be a very easy shortcut. Okay, let us produce in bulk and make money. That should not be the point, because we at Christ University, we want to show that we can build a model social enterprise. We can create brand value, and we can help in rural economy in a big way if you know how to respect your product and build a brand value around it. So this was another important part which I wanted to share with you, that don't be in a hurry to make money. Be in a hurry to create value. Once you create value, money will come as a byproduct. I'm not saying you should not earn money, but the point I'm trying to make is try to first create value for the customer, try to create value for your communities, and create a brand around it, and that is more valuable. So in this picture, I'm showing you our product, I'm showing the producer, and I'm showing the end customer. So again, when you build a brand, don't only try to project your brand. Your brand is only helping your community and the end customer to fulfill a larger purpose. So your product or brand is not the hero. Your community is the hero. Your end customer is the hero, and you should facilitate them, right? So someone who uses your straw, let's say in the US, this is a picture from the US. The lady was very happy using the straw, and her kids took this picture and sent it to us, saying it was a great experience using these straws in a restaurant. So that customer is so happy that when he uses something as simple as a straw, he or she is actually helping a community in India to have better incomes for themselves. And when they use this biodegradable straw, they understand that they're actually contributing to the environment by not using a plastic straw, by preventing the burning of coconut leaves. So this is how you create a brand value, not that you keep talking only about your product and considering that as the hero. Your brand, your product is not the hero. Your customer and your community is the hero. Is again a very important lesson which I want to share with you. And yes, as our journey started, we were getting some recognition. We won the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan Award, and the best thing happened when we won an award in Scotland. So we were in 2018, we were selected from India to represent India at Scotland at an international competition. So when we went there again, there were 125 teams from 45 countries, but we won the award for the best innovation for social impact. And last year, a Switzerland company, a company from Switzerland, Swissre, they selected our startup for the Shine program. So more than the cash award that we got, more important was that the expert coaches from Swissre, because I'm an English teacher, my team is very young, so we don't have the entire business acumen. So the senior coaches from the Swissre company, they were with us for 6 months, and they trained us, and they made us, they shared the knowledge about how to build a business, whether it was the financial aspect of it, the branding aspect of it, the process, what you call the process optimization. So they were with us for 6 months, and that gave us a lot of inputs. So these are some of the advantages that we start getting once you build a social enterprise and you reach out and you take part in different competitions. And even the University of Pennsylvania, we got a mail. It's so satisfying that all of a sudden you're getting a mail from University of Pennsylvania saying that they have come to know about the product, and they wanted to exhibit their straws at their resource library. So we sent it to them, and our straws are now kept at the University of Pennsylvania's resource library. This all of this is such a huge gratitude. It's very motivating to all of us that someone is valuing our product. So this was us in Scotland. We won this award. And also, can you imagine, all of a sudden, after there was an inspection at Christ University, I got a mail from ASSOCHAM saying that this is a good product and the world should know that we have such a product. And they invited me to be a part of the business delegation of the President of India to Philippines. So can you imagine, a simple straw is enabling me to have this honor of traveling with the business delegation of the Honorable President of India. So we went to Philippines in 2019, and I was speaking at the ASEAN India Business Summit. Now, please remember that Philippines also has 45% of its agriculture is coconut based. They have coconut farms, and we are talking to one party, and the Ministry of Agriculture in Philippines, and one of the NGOs which is ready to take this project up. We are talking to them, and we want to implement it. We slowed down is because we are still upgrading our technology. Once we upgrade our technology, then we would like to have collaborations with other countries. So these are some of the and then last 3 months back, we won an award at the Ministry of Agriculture for the best innovation in the waste to wealth category. Sir actually mentioned about the waste to wealth category. I think there's a huge opportunity out there to convert from waste to wealth. And I'll give you one more example about how this whole thing has panned out. And then again, 3 months back, we got a official invitation from the Deputy Commissioner of Nicobar Islands. And they said that Nicobar Islands is full of coconut trees. So they want us to start the project for the tribals of Nicobar. See, these are the opportunities that start opening up. So we were the official guests of the Nicobar, state, and we visited. So you see Sandeep on with me. So we traveled to Nicobar Islands. So for 1 week, we were taken around it for the entire island of Nicobar, and we are already talking to 3 of these Nicobari tribal families who are going to take it up in the next 3 months. So we just wanted the COVID situation to come down, and this is the opportunity. So this was our trip to Nicobar Islands, and this is the kind of coconut trees they have. So unlike in Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, in Nicobar, it is a jungle of coconut trees. So they don't actually plant. So wherever the coconut falls, it germinates into a new plant, and it is like a thick forest. Many other places you cannot even walk. So there is such a huge amount of, and you can see on the ground so many coconut leaves. All of them can be converted into straws. And then what happened is now we have orders, as I mentioned, from these countries. But we to make a straw, the straw which we make, it has 8 protocols. If, for example, it has to be stuck in a uniform way, there should be no fiber inside the straw. So there are some 8 protocols. After that, only we qualify it for the purpose of sending it as a straw. Now, what happened is when we were getting the straws from Madurai, Thoothukudi, and Kasaragod, many of the straws were not qualifying for our standard protocol, and then we were rejecting it. So slowly, what happened around 15-20 days back, we found out that there are 85,000 straws which has failed our test. And then Sandeep, not I, Sandeep, the MA economics student, suddenly said, sir, we have to make the straw, do something about the straws, because we are paying the women, and 85,000 straws are not used. And then suddenly he says, why can't we make pens out of it, writing pens? And I'm very excited to tell you that after the entire team got into the research and started experimenting, and we have developed writing pens from the straw, improvised writing pens, and they are so beautiful. They are so amazing. And if you see very closely, there is a grip for it, a roughened pattern. This is also made from coconut leaf only, so absolutely end to end, no plastic except for the refill, and we are working on that as well. So everything is all coconut leaf made out of, and pen made out of it. And even the waste of the waste, as I told you, there is a particular quality of leaf only which we can use for straw. But even the most dirty leaf, actually the refill gets rolled with leaf strips. And we are making small pen making kits which women can take it to their homes and just roll it on the refills and bring it back and earn money. So we see it as a huge game changer. Sorry, we see it as a huge opportunity where women can work in their homes also. Let's say there are 2-3 women, not all can go out to work for 8 hours, so they can take this pen making kit to their homes and they can work at their convenience, and after they finish it they can bring it back. We are in a position to give even 1 to 2 rupees per pen they roll, and it will take only 5 minutes to roll one refill. 5 minutes to roll one refill, and if we can give 1 or 2 rupees per pen they make, imagine. And also made from all the discarded leaves. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm very proud to tell you that yesterday we got the first order for 100 pens from by an organization, and they want to take it up. This pen making itself, they want to take it up for some physically challenged people in Sirsi, in the place called Sirsi. And already we have started getting orders for the pens as well. It writes very well. It's a very seamless experience. And for example, we were doing a lot of design thinking. I was giving it to my children to use the pen, and some other college students also. Now they said that most of them like to keep the cap at the back of the pen, right? So there are a lot of design thinking elements we get. So we have now changed the design where at the back of it there is this narrower place where you can actually put the cap. So we have customized it, and on 2nd of October we are going to launch it, and we are going to position it in a very different way. We are going to sell this straws through vending machines. So these vending machines will be kept in colleges, and you can do that online payment, and these pens will pop out. The whole strategy is that you get more attention, right? You have a biodegradable product and it is available. Let's say now if I were to ask these 300 students, how many of you use biodegradable pens? So it would be hardly anyone, right? There are paper pens, but we want it to become the trendy thing, so we don't want to price it very much. Now we have 2 categories of pens. One will be categorized in the 8 to 12 rupee category, like any of your plastic pens, and the other slightly better pen is in the 20 rupee category, but not more than that. So we want this product to become like a common product among the masses, like young students, and I'm very sure it will get a lot of attention. So this is the kind of innovations that are possible. I think I've given you sufficient information about how we can take ordinary products, simple things, no high technology. As I said, the pen making kit does not have a single machine, but the women can take it home and make it. So a lot of innovations doesn't have to have intense technology. It can be as simple as just making a pen. So the tribals of Nicobar, we interacted with them, and they are very excited with this whole proposition, and they want to take it up. And we visit all these villages, and we interact with women and train them how to make the straws. And then we see the smiles on the faces of these women. And I think this is the greatest achievement a university or a college should do, right? Where you as students, you don't end up just finding a placement for yourself, but you are able to do something which is going to add value and bring a smile on the faces of your own communities, right? Why should a Jane Chen have to come from United States to bring that smile? Why can't we do it? That is a bigger question I always keep asking to the students, because I teach English. I've been teaching English for 23 years. I always ask this question: what more impact have I done other than teaching a poem or a lesson? So we all have to ask this question to ourselves. You as students have to ask, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, right? We have to rise above all this, and then we can impact our communities. And why I want to tell you is, it's not only a story of innovation. It's not a story of entrepreneurship. It's about making an impact and touching somebody's life. Because boys and girls, you are lucky to be in a very good college and learning, right? We at Christ University, we are privileged that our students have all the facilities to get good learning, but not all are lucky, right? There are hundreds and thousands of such children on the streets. Why we should be innovative, why we should bring up entrepreneurship as a core aspect, is because you and I should not just think about securing our own lives, but if you can come up with an innovation and come up with an entrepreneurship which will create income generating opportunities for our less privileged communities, don't you think that some child like this might be an inventor himself, might be a CEO of a company, might become an engineer, right? And if you know the women's hockey team, Rani, the women's hockey team's captain, she is the daughter of a roadside pushcart vendor, but she had the opportunity. I mean, she somehow was lucky to get that opportunity. There are hundreds of thousands of children who need this opportunity, and this opportunity can come only if students like you who are listening to me decide that let me take the path of entrepreneurship, let me create income generating opportunities, and see that our communities are becoming healthier, because India needs it, and India needs it very much. That's all from my side. I thank you very much for this opportunity.